we were informed that British soldiers had fired on the inhabitants, killed some, and wounded others near the townhouse. I was dining in Boston with a club of friends on the evening of March the 5th, when suddenly the bells rang out throughout the town. Bells which normally warned us of a fire. But instead it would be a different kind of fire, one that had been smouldering throughout the town since it had been first occupied by the British Army. My friends and I rushed to grab our cloaks and help to quench this supposed fire. Along the way we were warned that British soldiers were firing upon the town's inhabitants. When we arrived in the town square, we found nothing on the scene of action, not a hint of fire or firings. As I made my way to our Boston home, I passed a company or two of soldiers, bayonets fixed and standing like statues. They paid no heed to me as I walked through the fog of their breath. When I arrived home, my wife Abigail had heard that the town was still and would likely remain so throughout the night. We had nothing but our own reflections to interrupt our repose. That was the end of the 5th of March. But it was just the beginning. That night was the culmination of subjugating the town of Boston for daring to protest Parliament's unfair, unrepresented taxation of our colonies. Mind, our Boston brethren protested in some rather unruly manners. Neither side was blameless in the days leading up to the 5th of March, but neither warranted the unruly cares that they received. The British soldiers were attacked with insults, thrown ice balls and cudgels, and the men and boys of Boston were faced with questionably ordered gunfire. 5 men died that very night, and a 6th soon after. The town was in an uproar, as was evidenced by this rather biased but very unpleasant engraving created by Mr. Paul Revere, made very popular and known as the Bloody Massacre. The next morning met the next great danger. Those British soldiers were facing charges of murder, and very likely hanging by an unruly mob, for no lawyer in Boston would seem to defend them. That task, for reasons unbeknownst and unexplained, fell to me. On one side, there was the danger of losing my livelihood, endangering my family, all for defending British soldiers which very few Bostoners, myself included, wanted in Boston. On the other, there was justice, and the need to show the watching world that justice could prevail over revenge, and that occupying British soldiers could receive a fair trial by those whose home they occupied. I defended those soldiers, and it was a long time of trial. But on the 5th of March, 1770, we began the path to becoming a nation of laws, not of men.